Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I'm on vacation. And with me on vacation, but not with me, is my friend and co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. It's vacation time.
It is vacation time. We just needed a little break. We haven't had a break in a while. So we have lots of movies we want to watch, so we have a lot of homework to do. So we're going to take the week off, but it seems very appropriate to replay our St. Elmo's Fire episode. It is directed by Joel Schumacher, who recently passed away. This is actually a nice companion piece for the episode that came out last week about The Client and A Time to Kill. You know, we got like a whole Joel Schumacher triple feature. You could go back and find our Lost Boys episode and put them all together. But the St. Elmo's Fire episode, I think it might be the funniest one we've done.
We kind of take it to town. We take it to task.
Yes.
We look askance at what they were trying to do there. But I don't think we were mean, but I think we were funny as shit. I laughed when I listened to it.
Yeah, you know, not to toot our own horns, but we felt the fire burning inside while we were recording that one. Like we had a lot of thoughts and feelings about that movie. I think it's a very good example of the Sonia and Margo destroy your childhood theme that we do sometimes. And it's just a fun one. And we've had a couple listeners reach out and say that whenever they're feeling down, they like to replay that episode, which makes me insanely happy to know that our suffering through St. Elmo's Fire brings you joy. That I love it. But we will be back next week with a new episode and a guest. Adam Risky.
That's right.
Adam Risky is going to join us next week, and we're going to talk about The Expendables. It's going to be really, really fun.
Just the first one.
Just the first one.
I think we're going to talk about, I think we're each going to come up with our own Expendables list.
Yes.
Or Dependables list.
I think we're calling them the Dependables, which sounds like we're going to talk about Depends, but that's not what we mean. We're talking about, I don't know, it's actors we super love or something. I don't know. But I can't commit to the other Expendables, but I'll commit to the first one. But it's going to be really fun, and I'm glad we're taking a little bit of time off to kind of regroup and recharge. Please, if you like us and you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us a review, and we'll give you a shout out on the air. It helps us find our people. You could send us an email at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. We love requests. So if you have requests, you can email it to us. You can send it to us on Twitter at dorkingoutshow. You could put it on our Facebook, but we don't go there that often. It's not very active. But we do have a private group for What a Creep, and Margo and I are on there, and a lot of Dorking Out listeners like to go on there and chat. So you could go on there and put a request if you like. What else? Where can people find you, Margo, if they want to pester you during your vacation?
You will find me on Twitter most of the time at Brooklyn Fitchick, also on Instagram at Brooklyn Fitchick. My blog is brooklynfitchick.com. And Sonia, where can they find you?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram. And please enjoy St. Elmo's Fire. If you can.
Kirby, Kirby, Kirby.
Welcome to episode 146 of Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margo D. And in this episode, we're dorking out about 1985's St. Elmo's Fire. Hi, Margo.
I don't know. I don't know if I say hi to you. You made me watch this again.
I'm so sorry. But let me start. I have a really important question for you.
Oh, please.
Do you feel St. Elmo's Fire burning inside of you?
Yeah. Oh, my God. Everything about this drives me crazy. Like that theme song to the plot to everything makes me absolutely crazy.
I definitely felt like a burning sensation watching this movie. So I assume that's St. Elmo's Fire. For those of you who don't know what St. Elmo's Fire is, and you're fucking lucky, it is directed by Joel Schumacher, and it stars Rob Lowe and Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy, Andrew McCarthy, Emilio Estevez, Mare Winningham, and Andie McDowell. And it was kind of like, I guess, the first movie to fall under like Brat Pack, right? Because like the big New York Magazine article came out like a couple weeks before that called them the Brat Pack.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the Breakfast Club came out. It was in 1985, and the Breakfast Club came out that spring. And then the New York Magazine article called them the Brat Pack, and apparently they hated that moniker. It really annoyed them. But when you read the article, which is available pretty much anywhere, you can Google it.
Yeah,
they come across like such smug douchebags.
Oh, for sure. The article is mainly Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson, and I think Rob Lowe's in some of it, if I remember correctly. I read it like yesterday to refresh my memory. But Emilio Estevez was like the leader, which kind of cracked me up. I was like, Emilio Estevez is like the leader of the Brat Pack? So weird. And then there was like other people in it. So it was like Tom Cruise was in it and Sean Penn. And then like there were these outliers like Nicolas Cage and Timothy Hutton. Apparently. Yeah. So, but those guys aren't in this movie because they made smart choices. Did you see St. Elmo's Fire in the movie theater?
I remember seeing it in the movie theater. So Breakfast Club came out that spring. It was a big hit. And then this movie comes out in the summer. And I can't believe they released this in the summer. It doesn't feel like a summer movie.
No, it feels like a fall movie.
Yeah. But okay, I'll tell you this. I remember it clearly. I don't remember the theater, but it was in New Jersey. And I went with a group of friends. And when at first shot with all of them walking across the Georgetown campus, all these actors, the audience lost their goddamn minds. They were in. Hook, line, and sinker. They were going to be fans.
Yeah, I saw this movie in the theater too. I would have been 14 when I saw this, and I remember my best friend at the time's older sister took us to see it at the theater because I think it's rated R, so I don't think we could have got in without her.
Your mom didn't take you?
No, strangely, my mom did not take me to this one. I saw it with my buddy, and I, like everyone, like I super love the Breakfast Club and was like, yeah, of course I'm going to see St. Elmo's Fire. But at 14, like my taste isn't like, I'm not looking for quality. I'm like, I like Emilio Estevez. I think he's cute. I saw St. Elmo's Fire. He's very cute in it, I thought, and so I was like, sure, I like St. Elmo's Fire. And of course you couldn't get away from like the song. It was everywhere. And I don't think I had the poster or anything like that, but I remember seeing the movie and thinking like, yeah, that was a thing to watch, right? As your friend Erin would say. It was, I liked it enough. I didn't like love it like the Breakfast Club, but I liked it because it was like made for teenagers. And rewatching it for this podcast, I'm like, oh, this movie is a huge piece of shit.
First of all, every single character is an asshole.
Yeah.
Honestly, a total asshole.
I don't even know where to start with this movie because it is every single one of them they're garbage people. All of them.
They're all deluded. They're all full of themselves. They're all narcissistic.
Yes.
Even Mare Winningham.
Yes.
Whom we're supposed to think is the nicest one. And by the way, so it enters with Billy and her character's Wendy. They get in a car accident because he's drunk.
Yes. And
he crashes her car. She winds up in the hospital. And they all kind of just take him out like, oh boy, look who's up to shenanigans again. And he's supposedly he's married and has a kid.
Yes.
But you can't tie him down with responsibility. And he's Rob Lowe, so he's super handsome. We're supposed to be like, oh, that Billy.
Yeah. He wrecks her new car. It's a new car. He wrecks it and he injures her. And everyone's like, oh, Billy, you lovable scamp. What can you do?
And she's just like, is he okay? Is he okay? I just want to make sure that he's okay. Is he okay? And nobody
Yeah.
like shakes her by the shoulders and says, let go of this asshole.
She's
we also know she's a virgin.
Yeah. And that's important.
Yeah.
What everyone's like sexual experiences is very important here. There's a constant thing throughout the movie about whether or not she's still a virgin. He's always asking her that because yeah, of course he does. And then there's like a lot of things about Andrew McCarthy's character, like,
oh my God,
you know, it's been so long since you've had sex. Why has it been so long since you've had sex, Andrew McCarthy? Why? You know, and we think maybe you're gay, and they're all just disgusting people. So it opens with the car accident that everyone immediately just brushes off as what can you do? You know, and take him out for drinks afterwards. Because that's what you do when your friend gets a DUI.
Oh, you go to your college bar. These people graduated college. They left college.
Right.
Once I graduated college, you couldn't find my ass anywhere near my college bar. I was done.
Yeah, and Billy's a huge. Here's the thing that drives me. Once again, I don't even know where to start. Like all this stuff's just going to start spilling out. The movie thinks we will like these people, that we will like them and we will relate to them, and their problems are our problems. And I'm like, I don't relate to Billy. He's a goddamn drunk who doesn't give a shit about anything but himself. He cheats on his wife with a young baby, and he's like a serial sexual assaulter throughout the movie.
We're supposed to think it's aspirational. Like we want to be like these people. And I was a few years younger. You know, I hadn't graduated high school yet, much less college. But yeah, we're supposed to think of these college age people post-college that can afford these apartments that are just like Ali Sheedy. Okay, I can't even know where to begin. It's like such a mess. It's like Billy. So wait, Emilio Estevez and Andrew McCarthy, Kevin, and Kirby. What a dumb name. Okay, and this is also Joel Schumacher. Is our writer. They're roommates, and you can believe it. They have a shitty little apartment. One of them works at a newspaper. One of them's going to law school. You get it. But then we have Judd Nelson and Ali Sheedy. Alec, not Alex. Alec.
By the way, could we start a drinking game and we could drink every time Ali Sheedy's character says Alec?
It's very, very with a hard C.
Yeah,
Alec.
Come on, Alec.
Leslie Hunter is her name. And they're both little Republicans, and we know that because they both wear suits, and she has little lacy things on her shirt.
And her fake pearls. And
her fake pearls. Oh, my God. And the first thing is that she's best friends with Jules, played by Demi Moore. Everyone's in a different movie, by the way, too. I feel like everyone's coming. And Demi Moore, by the way, she went to rehab just before she did this movie because she really did have a drug and alcohol problem at the time. So she sobered up to play this character.
She sobered up to play this cokehead.
Okay. And I actually kind of like her the best,
right?
Even though I'm not supposed to. But I feel like she's the most honest. And I think she wears this pink jacket, leather jacket. I never wear pink. I want this jacket so fucking bad. It is so cute.
I wanted Demi Moore's hair when I was
young. Crimped hair?
Like, I wanted like the long hair, like she wore it all big. That's how I wore my hair in the 80s, like really big and blonde, and I would crimp it like she did. And I didn't have the balls to be like a party girl like Demi Moore in this movie, but that's totally what I wanted to look like.
I wanted all of her wardrobe. All of her dresses were really cute, you know. And it turns out, well, yeah, she has a lot of energy because she's on coke all the time.
Let's go back to
go ahead.
Let's go back to Ali Sheedy and Judd Nelson's apartment, Alec and Leslie's apartment that they move into, that has this huge mural on the wall of like wet athletes or something.
It's a Nike ad.
Yeah, and I was like,
it's actual Nike ad.
Did they move into like a space that used to be a sporting goods store, or why is there this? Did they buy it because it was there? Did they put that up there?
They have that also 80s thing with the wall of lights, but it like that glass.
Yeah, the like glass bricks.
Oh, it's so ugly. But you wonder, like, okay, so Alec and her. So he's a political consultant, and he's just joining a Republican. And it's like, ooh, Alec is now a Republican. I'm like, you're all Republicans. You're not fooling us.
Yeah.
But so does she work for an ad agency? She does drawing and stuff. Like she has that big
I think she's
desk.
supposed to be an architect, and I think that's what the drafting table is supposed to.
Graphic table. Yeah, okay, drafting table.
Which I don't think they ever say what she does.
Well, they would all be their first or second year at a job. You're not going to be doing much.
Right.
I mean, it's all admin stuff, but they all have like a lot of responsibility.
They're all like in their jobs right after college. These are the jobs that they're in. And of course, my favorite is Andrew McCarthy, who's got a job at like the daily newspaper right after college, because that happens all the time. And, he's writing obituaries or something. And then he gets his first byline in the paper, and it's like, "The Meaning of Life" by Kevin Bloody Blah. And it's like on the front page. And I was like, well, first of all, that shit would never be on the front page, because I assume it's a column of some, unless it's like, "What a scoop! I figured out the meaning of life." And they're like, "Stop the presses!" And they like run in and like put it on the front page.
That's a GQ article.
It's total bullshit stuff.
Yeah.
But you can't look to St. Elmo's Fire for realism, I guess. But I think they think it is. That's the part that drives me nuts. I think they think this is what being like 22 is like. And I'm like, no, it isn't. I'm not convinced that anyone in this movie's actually met another human being.
I think they only know actors.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. Oh, totally. And then so Jules lives alone, and she works for a bank, and we know she has problems because she's 2 months behind with her paychecks. Like she's So back when people handed out paychecks, but so she's spending money like crazy. And then she has this big Coke problem.
Yes.
And then she invites Andrew McCarthy over one day, Kevin, for the whole purpose of like leaning really close to him, like, "How come you never hit on me? Huh?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm not gay." And he's like, no, I'm not. By the way, Joel Schumacher's gay. He wrote this crap. And so she's like, "Well, I want you to meet the guy across the hall. His name is Ron, and he's like the gayest gay man from Gayland."
You know he's gay because he's holding like a pink fruity drink in a glass with like a straw. He's so gay. Look how gay he is.
And so lispy and like doesn't read body cues or whatever.
Hi, Kevin. Hi.
Oh. Like Ron would go to a gay bar to meet gay boys. He doesn't need his coked out neighbor to try out one of her friends.
Right.
This is not hard, people.
Hey, you and Kevin have so much in common. He's gay. You're gay. I'm sure you'll hit it off.
She's so ridiculous.
Yeah, 'cause she's an asshole too.
Yeah, she is. She is. She has great clothes, though. I will say, I like her outfits. But she and Helen, or Leslie, are best friends for some reason.
Yeah, they were former roommates. I assume that all of these people are friends because they're awful and no one else wanted to be friends with them.
I think so too. The first scene, by the way, I forgot to mention, when they're going to St. Elmo's bar, like, because that's what, after the hospital thing is, they kick people out because that's their table. Mm-hmm. Like, it starts off with them being entitled douchebags. Yeah,
they're awful.
That's where all.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
I was just gonna say Kirby at the hospital when he meets. It's Andie McDowell, Dale, who's our doctor.
Dr. Dale Bieberman.
The 23-year-old doctor?
Yeah.
What?
Sure. She's basically Doogie Howser.
God, her acting is terrible in this thing. Like, they give her nothing to do.
Though.
She's gorgeous.
She's so beautiful. But yeah, they don't give her anything to do. I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about this storyline rewatching.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. Yeah.
He sees her at the hospital and he's like instantly like in love with her again because they had one date like 4 years ago. And
she didn't remember him.
Yeah, she doesn't even remember him. And
she's like a foot taller.
Yeah, she's a foot taller. She totally is.
Taller than them, and she doesn't care. And so oh God. So then, where do we even start with this? It was such a freaking mess.
Yeah.
So Rob Lowe keeps getting jobs from his friends.
Yes.
And screwing it up. And so at one point, Alec gives him a job, and they're like, "Oh, it's for a Korean gangster."
What the fuck?
The racial politics here also, like, what? And so of course Billy, the gangster, comes home, and then Billy's like in a hot tub with a girl having sex with her. He's like, "Kim, you weren't supposed to be here for a couple more days." Already your heart.
How did Alec get him a job with a Korean gangster? What kind of senator is he working for?
What is going on? And so then Kirby gets the job because he realizes it's a well-paying job, and he thinks, I need money to get Dale. Yeah. And so he has a party and he invites Dale over, Andie McDowell, and she can't make it, or so he follows her.
Yes.
He follows her to another party, and then he kind of just shows up on her.
Yeah.
And
like
she's like, Kirby, like a psycho. He's stalking her. And she's like, Kirby, what's going on?
There's another drinking game there, by the way.
What
Drink every time she says Kirby.
Okay, that's another Kirby. So the very next scene, it shows her taking him to her apartment.
Yes.
This is the guy that's stalking her that she didn't want anything to do with. She met him once before, had no interest. She takes him into her home. Yes. And then she has a roommate. And then it's that dumb scene where, oh, even my roommate hates me. Oh, it's true. I hate her. Ha, ha, ha.
By the way, she's a doctor. Why does she have a shit apartment with a roommate and everyone else is living in these huge lofts?
And she's taking out the trash, and there's no trash in that thing she's taking out.
I don't even take out the trash. Well, there's no trash in there. You should just leave it.
Yeah, you should. So then she basically he's like, well, why won't you pick me? Why won't you pick me? And he goes, you need money. Okay, I'm going to get some money. And so that's his whole thing. So he works for the Korean gangster, and then invites her to a thing. She can't go to it. So he invites her to have a meal. She can't show up.
Or she shows up, but then she immediately gets a call.
Yep, and she leaves him.
Yeah, which she totally just had them. She's like, call me at the restaurant and say that I have an emergency.
Yeah.
It's not said in the movie that that's what happened, but in my mind, that's what happened.
This is Kirby's whole line. So it's his whole story, his character arc. So then he keeps pursuing her. And then at one point she goes on vacation with her boyfriend because she's a person with her own life.
Yeah. With a man, with a grown man, by the way.
With a grown man, very cute man, by the way.
Yeah.
But he goes to her apartment, and he's he's like, where are you, Dale? Screaming. And her roommate opens the window and says she's on a trip with her boyfriend. And he basically says, you tell me where she is, or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like he's going to beat the shit out of you. You don't tell me. And that's a laugh. That's played for laughs.
Yeah, we're supposed to think it's hilarious. It's so funny. He threatened her life. He
drives overnight, I guess, up into the mountains, into the snow.
In Wendy's brand new car. Again.
He gets stuck in a snow path right for the house that she's staying with her boyfriend. And her boyfriend, they're clearly having sex, by the way, and they open the door and he's there. And then she and her boyfriend are like, she's like, you got to come in. He'll freeze to death. Don't leave him out there. So they let him come in. They take care of him. And then the very next day, she says the dumbest thing, like, I guess I'm always going to wonder what it was like if I would have been with you. I mean, what?
Actually, the dumbest thing happens right before that, where her boyfriend goes, let me go get the camera so I could take a picture of you two. I assume for evidence, right? Because he's a fucking stalker.
Yes. You're going to leave him alone with her?
Yeah, so he leaves to get a camera, and then she's like, you seem like a nice person. She's so nice to her stalker. She must know that he's going to kill her someday. And she's like, please don't kill me. I think you're super nice. I will always wonder if maybe, I made a mistake or whatever. And
right. It's something like that.
Yeah. And then he grabs her and dips her and kisses her. And she kisses him back. And then there's this she's like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, now you're just rewarding this shit behavior.
It's so toxic. And then he drives off and he put fist pumps in the air. That's his whole character arc.
Yeah.
That's and the whole
I stalked the shit out of that girl. Yeah.
I may have a chance one day she'll be next to me again. I may follow her on her next vacation. Yeah.
Let's all go to Cabo next time. Yeah.
I'm going to get hurt on purpose at her hospital. So she has to treat me. There you go.
Got
It's
it.
just crazy.
Nailed it.
It's a batshit story. It's so infuriating. And I remember in the movie theater, people thought it was hilarious. They thought it was so great. Yeah, everybody was along with it. Do you see there's one person, there's an African-American woman who's a sex worker?
Yes. That's the one person of color in this whole movie besides the Korean gangster is the black hooker Heart of Gold.
Who flirts with Kevin, but she thought he was gay.
Right.
Like this whole recurring thing is Kevin, he doesn't flirt with other women. There's something that must mean he's gay. We got to figure Kevin out.
Yes.
But it turns out Kevin's in love with Leslie, who's living with a douchebag.
Living with Alec. I do want to go back to the hooker with the Heart of Gold.
Yes.
I did love the scene where like Kevin, of course, is walking around with like a brown bag of liquor, like drinking it or whatever. And, you know, how come, you know, what do you think the meaning of life is to the hooker? And she's like, for $50, I'll show you the meaning of life or whatever. And then she goes to take a sip of the whiskey or whatever it is he's drinking. And I love this part. She wipes off the bottle first with her hand. And I was like, that chick is super smart because he's fucking gross. They're all gross. You don't know where any of these gross assholes have been. Even a hooker's like, I don't want your nasty ass germs. I'm surprised she didn't get out like hand sanitizer. Like, yeah. So he's in love with Leslie because, of course, he is. But everyone thinks he's in love with Alec,
because they all think he's gay. So they really think like that's what the love connection is. Oh, and Alec, what a great guy. He's sleeping around constantly on her, and he keeps asking her to marry him.
Yeah, because that'll make him faithful.
Yeah, well, you know, and she's reasonably saying, "Now we're kind of young. Let's wait a couple of years.
Yeah.
Let's see if living together works out first." So he buys her lingerie. Remember we talked about lingerie before?
Yeah.
80s lingerie.
He bought a gift for himself.
Exactly, a red little ugly teddy.
Yeah.
And he buys it for her, and Kevin is over. They're having a meal together.
It's so rude. I wrote this down too.
It's so fucking rude. So she immediately, she's like, oh, Alec, I don't know. So she grabs it, goes into the bedroom, puts it on, then puts his pajamas over it.
Yes.
Then she calls Alec in. And then Alec is telling him, by the way, oh, I was shipping the sales girl for this nightie like 20 minutes ago or whatever. Yes. Yeah. He's like, I couldn't help it. I can't. She's got to marry me or else I won't be able to stop cheating. This makes no sense.
No.
And
he's a huge asshole.
He's an asshole. And then she's like, Alec. I'm like, did you guys forget Kevin was there? Like, yeah, you're doing this whole sex game, but like, it's so stupid.
Who invites someone over for dinner and then is like, here, honey, I bought you a gift. And like,
it's a nightie.
And it's a nightie. Go put it on. It's like, you have a friend over for dinner. If I did that to you, Margo, you could totally throw a drink in my face. That's bullshit.
I would totally. Yeah. Or I'll throw it into the fireplace or something like that. I'll do something dramatic I've always wanted to do that I've seen in the movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, these people are fucking assholes. You have a friend over.
Yeah. It's awful. And then speaking of like train wreck dinners, Wendy, sweet, virginal, naive doormat Wendy invites Billy, the fucking train wreck, to her family dinner. And of course, it's like totally awful. And he like gets up on the roof and he's, you know, I miss school and blah, blah. And she's like asking her dad for money, but basically she's going to give it to Billy. And then there's this whole thing about, I think I should get my own apartment. That's what she keeps saying to her dad over and over. And I was like, why do you need your dad's permission? Get a fucking apartment.
Well, also, she's a social worker. And the whole thing about the social work they have for her, it's so disgusting. They have a woman in front of her with five kids, about the same exact age, by the way.
Yeah.
But 5 kids. And she's like, oh, just give me the goddamn money. So she's meant to look like a dumb, bleeding heart, whatever.
Yes.
Right? Like she's the sucker in everything in life, including her job. She's not really helping anyone. But if you're a social worker, you're not going to make that much money. Right. So she shouldn't be saying, Daddy, I need an apartment unless she wants her dad to pay for it.
Yes.
She should be like, I'm moving out and I have 2 roommates and that's how I'm going to live.
Yes. And And
Right?
and she's awful. She's awful too. We're supposed to
Yes.
think she's the nicest because she is like, she's the social worker. She does want to help people, but she also is very dependent on her family's money, and her dad is constantly like buying her new cars that her friends wreck over
Right.
and over. At one point, he gives her a car with the idea that she will be engaged to one of the employees that he wants to set her up with.
Yep.
And she accepts the car and is like, well, I'm thinking about it.
Yes.
And she says it like right in front of him. And that's another thing. They're huge dicks to like any guy that Wendy brings around. And I'm like, shouldn't you be encouraging Wendy to date someone who isn't Billy? Because Billy's
Right.
fucking terrible.
Nobody wants to admit that Billy's a lost case.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit that Billy needs rehab. Not a lost case, but he needs rehab. He needs some. Nobody wants to also say, like, asshole, you have a wife and a kid.
Yeah.
Make that work, or separate and be a man, you know, and pay your bills, and you know what I mean? It's
Right.
just, he's allowed to just pretend. Oh, and that whole thing where so also, now this, I'll tell you this about me. I hate saxophone. I'm not a huge saxophone person. I know that's terrible.
Every time Billy shows up in the movie, there's a sax solo, like not
Ugh.
like in the score for the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like he walks in a scene and it's like,
a lot of 80s movies do that.
Yeah, they
It's like it's gratuitous David Sanborn, you
Yeah.
know, all of like Lethal Weapon movies. That's all that's on there. Like, ugh.
Oh, and
Anyway.
and he's wearing his saxophone all the time, like
All the time.
like it's
And
a
then
necklace or so, like it's his accessory.
And then so he has a band and he's playing at St. Elmo's, and we're all supposed to think, yay, he's in a band. I'm like, yeah, that's stable. Good for him. But he's in this band, and then Jules shows up and acts like an idiot. But his wife shows up with a date.
Yes.
And then sits in the front and like makes out with her date. So then he beats up the guy,
Right.
and it goes out into the street, and then they start making out. He and the wife get back together and start making out again. And we're all supposed to laugh like, oh, those crazy kids.
Yeah.
Like, take that child away from them.
Yeah. Also, he is sleeping with everyone in DC.
Right.
But the minute she's like out giving him a taste of his own medicine, like, how dare you get your hands off my wife?
Right. Right.
Oh, he's awful.
It's disgusting. He never talks about his kid.
No.
There's no thought about it. No.
It's awful. And there's something else in that bar that night, in that one that drove me. Oh, it was that's the night that Wendy shows up with Howie or whatever, and everyone's super rude to Howie, and that annoyed me because they're all garbage people. They can't be nice to anyone. Like Jules even calls him ugly. It's awful. They're awful people. And honestly, would you go to St. Elmo's bar? Would you have gone?
No.
Ever? No. Honestly, I would have walked in and saw that. I would have walked in and saw that a live band was playing and turned around and walked right back out.
Especially if it's a lead with a saxophone, I would have been out the door. But you look in that Georgetown, you look into that crowd, that bar, that's everybody I went to high school with. Like, that looks like my high school. And I would have been turned around and just left.
Yeah.
Because I just know what these assholes are going to say. Everyone's going to get drunk and loud and pretend they're awesome. And it's just depressing.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy, by the way, he goes back to school. He shows up back at the fraternity.
Yeah, and everyone's like, you're a legend.
Yeah. He plays football. They're like, yeah, we need somebody who could sell us some drugs, man. And he's so bummed out, like,
oh, is that all I am to you guys?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you're a fucking loser.
You're a loser.
I also love the scene where the ladies go to lunch and they have lunch at a homeless shelter.
Yes.
Because Wendy's working there, and Jules then proceeds to make jokes about being homeless in front of homeless people because she's fucking classy as hell.
Yeah, she's also coked out of her mind, and
she definitely is.
But I guess, like, yes, Mare Winningham and Ali Sheedy, by the way, they're in a whole other movie.
Right?
When their scenes, I like them together. Like, their scenes together, they almost seem like reasonable people.
Yeah.
But they also like douchebags.
Yeah.
So Ali Sheedy, by the way, I'm sorry, that lace on her clothes drove me crazy.
And that's what
so
she's wearing
prim.
for the whole
movie.
Yeah. It's like she's in the same outfit for the whole movie.
It's like they put a doily on all of her outfits. Like, Republican's girlfriend. We have to remember that. You guys liked her in Breakfast Club as the rebel. Well, this is the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, ugh.
There's a scene with Ali Sheedy and Mare Winningham when they're like walking along
Yeah.
the water and they're having like a discussion that you would have with your friends. Like, what Alec really wants to get married. Like, but I don't know if I'm ready. Like, but like they have like a conversation that you would really have with your friends. And I was like, I guess that's the only real moment in the entire movie.
That's all I can remember. That's all that part also, like I said, it felt like it was a whole other movie that was going on. And then these women had to go back to these toxic men.
Yes.
And their toxic bullshit. So, oh my God. So there's a party, and then somebody tells Alec, oh, how does Alec find out?
No, so Alec
go ahead.
Alec announces at the party that Leslie is going to marry him. And then she is like, what? Like, pulls him aside into like another room and is like, I have never said I would marry you. Like, he's like, I'm trying to like push us along. We need to get married. And then she confronts him with like, what are we going to do about your extracurricular love life?
I'm sorry. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid because people totally talk that way. They
of course
absolutely talk
yeah,
that way.
that's how they put it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, what did Kevin tell you? And then runs out there.
First
and
he says, what extracurricular love?
Yeah.
Like, it's super lame. And then he goes, I gotta talk to Kevin. And then he slaps Kevin, like punches Kevin.
Yeah.
And Kevin hits the floor and is going,
and
what?
And then she's like, Kevin didn't tell me anything. It was just a hunch.
It was a hunch. Excuse me. It was a hunch. And then immediately goes, you're moving out.
Yeah, get out of my
place.
place.
It's like, fuck you. You move. You're the cheater.
Yeah, fucking asshole.
He's such an asshole. Ugh.
And
he's
then
the worst.
She goes home with Kevin, and it's revealed that Kevin is in love with her because
he's a stalker too. He has a bunch of pictures of her.
All the men in this movie are so terrible. He's got like a whole
hangs around them
tin
just because he wants to be with her. He doesn't care about anybody else.
Yeah, he's got a whole tin of like photos of her that he just leaves lying around. I guess for Kirby to look at too. I don't know. And he's also got like a coffin, you know, in his apartment. Because
he's so deep.
He's so deep, you guys. Look, he's got a
looking
coffin.
for the meaning of life.
Yeah, he's got a coffin. I thought chicks would think it was sexy. And then he's got these like fake writing awards because he thought that would impress girls. I'm
of
like,
course.
Oh, he's an asshole too.
Yeah.
We already knew he was a miserable prick anyway.
Oh, so they kiss.
Yes.
He says, I'm in love with you. Okay. So they start making out, and then the next thing you know, they're having sex, and then they're in the shower.
Yeah.
And she's wearing her pearls
she still has her
in
pearls
the shower.
On. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And they have sex on the coffin.
Yeah. And the shower, and then the shower door falls out, and they just giggle. And I'm like, wouldn't that glass like shatter everywhere? Wouldn't that be like a bad thing for the door to fall out? No.
No, it's hilarious.
It's hilarity ensues.
It's hilarious, and they are so hot for each other they can't stop, even when the shower door falls and breaks.
And then the next day, she's basically, all right, hi and bye. I just had to get that out of my system. And he's convinced they're going to be a couple now, so then he's completely upset. So then she goes and she moves in with Jules, which should have happened in the first place.
Yeah, she should have gone home with Jules that night.
Yes, that's exactly it. And then so they break. Oh, there's a whole. Oh God, this movie can fuck itself.
You're talking about
the record scene.
Yeah.
They're going through the records. These are the whitest people ever. Like,
you could take the Billy Joel and the Carly Simon,
but not the stranger. And no, Bruce Springsteen will leave this apartment. And I was in New Jersey when I saw this movie, and the place lost their goddamn minds. They were Team Alec because he was for Bruce.
She shows up to get her stuff, and she's like, I purposely came here during work hours because I didn't think you would be here. And he's there. And he's holding a football, because why isn't he holding a football? He's holding a football so that he can throw it and show us how angry he is. He's so angry, you guys. Look how he threw that football. So mad. He's a huge dick to her when she shows up. You can't take this, you can't take that, and how are things with your lover, Kevin? And he's a huge asshole. And then she's like, fuck you. And she leaves. And he's like, God, I just wish I could get her back.
It's
I'm
insane.
like, dude, try saying you're sorry. Why don't you start with that instead of like, God, I pulled her hair and she left. She still doesn't like me.
I would have almost respected him if he had said something along the lines of, it meant nothing to me, or something like that. He doesn't even acknowledge what he did was wrong.
No. It's her fault for not marrying him.
It's so, God, this thing is so fucking toxic.
It's so shitty. Well, and then Kevin is shitty too, because like he instantly is like, yeah, we're going to move in together now and you're with me now. And she's like,
you're mine. You're mine. You're mine. I tagged you. You're mine.
Boy, the guys in this movie really want to settle down, except for Billy.
and then there's a whole thing where he's at the apartment now it's Jules' apartment along with Leslie, and he's like all over her, and she's like, hey, relax, and then gay Ron shows up, and he has to make a point of like, oh, hey buddy,
hey Ron, guess who's not gay anymore?
I got laid. So it's so repulsive. And then so what happens is that, so how do we get to the point? Do we get to the point now where Demi Moore's in the apartment and there's no furniture?
Well, there's one other part where the same night that Alec and Leslie break up, Jules gives Billy a ride home in her car.
Oh, God, and he assaults her in the car.
And he assaults her. He sexually assaults her. And she's like, I don't want this. This is enough, And he's like, says who? And it's like, says me, asshole, And like he takes her keys and like shoves them down his pants. And like, she has to push him out of the car and like get the keys out. And he still is like, get back in the car and assume the missionary position and blah, blah, blah. And she's saying like, I need you to be my friend right now. And he still is like, let's do it. He's a huge asshole to her. He sexually assaults her in front of the house he lives in. And the baby the wife is standing there with the baby, like can see all of it because he's fucking rad. He's so
and
rad.
All the neighbors, everybody can hear it. Everybody can see this. He's drunk out of his mind, and he's like sexually assaulting this woman. You break my heart. Yeah. Like you break everybody's heart. I'm like, oh, that'll tell him.
Yeah.
Ugh. Kick him in the balls.
Yeah. It just boggles my mind because then there's like a whole let's just move on to the next part where now Jules is locked in her apartment.
Okay, let's set the scene. Oh, the big, I love in her apartment, by the way, there's a huge Billy Idol portrait.
With the like neon earring of like an ankh or something, and like random neon on the Billy Idol because gay Ron is her decorator.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because he's a stereotype. He's gay, and he's also an interior decorator, and I'm sure he was drinking his pink fruity drink the whole time he was decorating her apartment.
And lisping and listening to Madonna and talking about Judy Garland. Yeah, I mean, he was a total stereotype. So we're in her apartment. I guess Leslie isn't there anymore. Or all the furniture is gone. She locks herself in there. She turns out she was fired. Oh, the whole thing also is that she has a stepmother that she calls her step monster, and that's dying, and that's a dumb little subplot that really doesn't go anywhere.
And she's gonna have to pay for the funeral, and that's what she's obsessed. One of the things she's obsessed with.
And then, so turns out and she's having an affair with her boss. Sorry, we forgot to mention that. She's also sleeping with her boss. And then she's so behind on her bills and she's so advanced out on her salary that she gets fired. And I'm sure she's doing a terrible job at whatever she was doing at the bank because she's a mess.
Yeah.
But now she's in her apartment and she's locked up, but there's one window that's open to make it really cold because she's going to freeze herself to death.
It is the most cinematic way to kill yourself because the drapes are gently blowing in the wind, and
I'm like, do you know how slow and painful that kind of death would be? Like to freeze yourself in your apartment? Like I don't get it. So she locks
You're
it out.
You're gonna freeze to death. I think that's the idea.
So Kevin and Alec and Kirby all go up the back way. Right, and they're going up the what's the word I'm thinking of? But
the fire escape.
Thank you, the fire escape. Yeah. And somebody got a blowtorch, and they're like, lighting up the blowtorch for no apparent reason. But all of a sudden, Alec grabs Kevin and almost throws him to his death.
He almost murdered him. Isn't that hilarious?
It's unfucking real. And then he has to be reminded, actually, there's somebody trying to commit suicide in the other room. We might want to pay attention to that. And then Billy shows up. And he goes upstairs and he gets the fire extinguisher. He's going to bust through the door. And at that moment, Jules finally decides, oh, that guy that tried to rape me a couple of days ago, I'll let him in.
Yeah.
So she opens up the door.
He's going to say some things that are going to make me feel better.
He's so wise. I have to hear what he has to say.
What does my attempted date rapist think?
What is his feedback on my situation? The person with the messier life than yours.
Yeah. I also love that. So Kirby's like handing the blowtorch to Kevin or whatever, and he's like, blowtorch anyone? Or, something like that in this like really jokey. And I'm like, dude, your friend's inside the apartment trying to kill herself. And your other friend almost threw your other friend off the fire escape. You almost witnessed a murder.
And a suicide.
And a suicide. And you're like, blowtorch anybody?
These are not humans. They don't care about each other. They don't really give a shit about each other.
No,
they really don't. And so Rob Lowe, is being very wise, and puts some blankets on her and explains what St. Elmo's fire means, and that's what she's going through.
And there's a creepy clown head in the room too. By the way,
that's right.
The whole time I'm like, what the fuck? What
and
is that
like
part of?
Was that a hairspray can that he's lighting?
I guess so.
She threw everything else out except those two things.
Yeah.
The
She's
clown
like,
head.
It was really windy in there, Margo.
She's got to keep her hair in place while she's dying.
Like, look, if I'm going to die, I'm going to look beautiful.
And so he saves her.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very, very, very end, Billy is going to go to LA to start a music career, because that's what an unstable person should do.
Yes. I do.
When he has other responsibilities.
I do love in the scene where they're laughing, everything's going to be okay. And then like Leslie's like, I'm making coffee. And like, oh, the gang's all back together again. But there's also a part where Demi Moore blurts out, why does my father hate me so much? Which is like a I never learned to read moment. And then she says, I never thought I'd be so tired at 22. And I'm like, sister, wait till you're 42. Like,
bitch, please.
Bitch, please. You don't even know tired.
You haven't, yes. Yeah. And at the end, there's some kind of growth, because Leslie's not going to go with Kevin or Alec. She's going to like be on her own for a little while.
Yeah, the movie chickens out on dealing with the love triangle at all.
Completely pusses out.
Yeah.
And then
because they're going to be friends. She's like, but I would love for all of us to be friends. And they're like, well, okay. Like,
that booga booga booga.
It's so awful.
That chant. It's so awful. And so he's going off, and then they were going to go to the bar, but they see it's all crowded, and they're like, maybe we do brunch sometimes. And this is supposed to be their personal growth.
They've grown. Look how they've changed. They're no longer going to get together and have dinner. They're going to have brunch.
Yes.
Big changes. Also, Wendy finally does move into her own apartment, and she invites Billy over right before he leaves. Remember this?
Oh, right. And he has sex with her.
Yeah. He's like, may I ask you for one more thing, a going away present? Her virginity, basically. And then they fuck. And it's so gross. And Wendy deserves more than a pity fuck from Billy. That's disgusting. It's disgusting.
And also she's like Mare Winningham. It's like she was pregnant with like her third kid.
Right?
They always made her look like she's kind of chubby. I'm like, she looks pregnant to me.
Yeah.
She's pregnant. Yeah.
Playing a virgin when she's like pregnant with her second child. That is acting, my friends. She's acting her ass off in this movie. Well,
she is a good actor. I like Mare Winningham normally, and I normally she's one of the better things. Like she's great in Turner and Hooch.
Yes.
She's great but like in this case, it's just like her character is such a wimp.
It's so weird that she's even in this movie.
What is she doing?
Like, she's not one of these people.
No, no.
They couldn't get Molly Ringwald? Come on. She's not a brat packer.
No, but she had some movies under her belt. I think she
Yeah.
had like TV movies or something. So I think she brought some gravitas to it because she's one of the better actors.
Yeah.
Martin Balsam, what's he doing in this thing?
Right.
I love him. What's he doing?
It's everyone in this movie's shitty and awful. Who do you think is the worst person in this movie?
Ooh, Alec, maybe?
Yeah.
I think he really truly doesn't have any empathy.
That's true. He's basically a sociopath.
Yeah.
Him and Billy. Billy, like the serial date rapist and deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got it all, ladies.
And you know, Kevin.
The line to date him starts on the left.
and you know, Kevin gets married like multiple times or something. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, he convinces somebody to marry him, and then he's like such a mopey pain in the ass that they dump him, and that's his lot in life.
And he makes them all have sex with him on his coffin. And his pickup line is, you know, what do you think is the meaning of life? You know, he's like carrying around that byline, and he's like 40, 50 years old, and he's still like, I had a byline in the paper once.
This movie's so fucking stupid.
So bad. Did you watch the music video at all for St. Elmo's
Of course.
Fire? Yeah. Did you
didn't have a
rewatch
choice.
it before this?
No, I haven't seen it in a while. I have to tell you, that song drives me crazy.
Yeah,
like,
it's a terrible song.
It's terrible. I've always hated it. And he didn't like John Carr, is that his name?
John Parr.
John Parr, excuse me. He wrote it for a Paralympian, somebody that was paraplegic and an athlete. Like, that's like the man in motion. That was the whole point. He didn't want it to be about these assholes either. He was not happy. But then it's
awful
made
that
his
your
career.
song is associated with this movie about 7 sociopaths.
Right, versus an inspirational story about somebody that actually overcame a real obstacle.
I watched the music video before we started recording because I was just curious, and it is the weirdest music video because it's got so he's like in the bar, but the bar's like all empty or whatever. It's like the closed set, I guess, and he's singing, and then like all the cast is there, like looking sad through the window while he sings. And then eventually they come in the bar, and there's like clips from the movie like throughout it, and then like they all like at some point he sits or stands next to each person and like sings a little bit, and like they like reach out and like touch his shoulder, like, good for you, John Parr, you know, I do feel the fire burning in me. And then like a bright light comes down, and they all walk towards the bright light, and I was like, oh, do they all die at the end of this video? That's what it looked like. And then I was like, that can't be true, because there's no way they would get into heaven.
No, I was just gonna say, there's that. Hell no, would they see a bright light before they went?
No, they definitely would not. It is.
You couldn't avoid it though. That song was played everywhere.
Everywhere, and the love theme, the like instrumental theme music, they still use that shit in trailers and stuff for other movies. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's still everywhere.
You know, it's David Foster, by the way. David Foster did the music. Like, of course it's schmaltzy. And terrible.
Yeah. Did you have crushes on anyone in the Brat Pack back in the day?
Andrew McCarthy, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked Emilio Estevez. I had kind of a little crush on him. Not like not a real crush, not like I'm going to cut out photos and put him up on my wall and stalk him and follow him to snowy cabins. You know, not that kind of crush. More like, he's cute.
I think he's totally cute. I thought Rob Lowe was really cute. I thought they were all cute. Judd Nelson too, even, I would say. But Andrew McCarthy, I think, was my favorite. He was like a big crush for me.
Yeah. Judd Nelson never did anything for me ever.
Oh, really?
Never. And then I read that Brat Pack article, and I was like, ugh.
They just come across as monsters.
They're so awful.
Oh, they're the worst.
I did write down some other movies from '85 for us.
Oh, please.
To put it in perspective. So, Back to the Future.
I love that movie.
The Breakfast Club came out earlier that year. The Goonies.
Yep.
Weird Science.
Mm-hmm.
Fright Night.
I loved Fright Night.
Yeah, me too. Witness.
Yes.
Commando, Rambo First Blood Part 2. That movie was huge too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like Rambo played all summer long. You couldn't get away from it. And then I also Cocoon and Out of Africa and The Color Purple.
I love Cocoon so much.
I haven't seen it in so long, but I remember loving it at the time. It's got Brian Dennehy in it.
Yeah, I
It's
love
got
Brian
our man.
Dennehy.
It's got our man, Brian Dennehy.
I have an old man crush on Brian Dennehy. Yeah, it doesn't age very well. The special effects aren't very good,
Right.
but the actors are really good. That part holds up, and I love The Color Purple.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a long time. I haven't seen any of these in a long time, actually.
Yeah.
Do we have any other awful things we want to say about St. Elmo's Fire?
You know what? It has secret fans apparently, because when they
should
have the 30th,
keep it a secret.
They should keep it a secret. But I was looking up some articles like around the 30th anniversary for the movie, and I think it was Andrew McCarthy. He said that Gwyneth Paltrow approached him at a party once, and she admitted this is like her favorite movie ever.
Ugh.
Like she and it's just like, oh, fuck this movie.
Yeah, that makes me hate it even more.
Even more.
She's like, it seems so real. Your problems are my problems. Shut up, Gwyneth. Well, we're sorry if we destroyed anyone's childhood by talking shit about this movie, but it is a real turd. I'm sorry, it is.
You should try watching it again. If you have like a really strong response about it and you think we're being unfair, you try watching it.
Yeah. My husband asked me this morning, would you rather watch this or Reality Bites? And I was like, I would much rather watch Reality Bites.
Oh, I agree.
Before I watch St. Elmo's Fire again. It's my hope to never see this movie again.
I'm done. The door's closed.
What else are you dorking out about, Margo? Anything else?
Well, this week I'm dorking out about Marie Kondo.
Oh, yeah, I watched that too.
Oh, my God, it's so good.
I watched two of them.
I went through all of them on New Year's Day in one fell swoop.
That's the perfect time.
Oh, it's the greatest. So the show is called Tidying Up with Marie Kondo, and it's a half-hour Netflix show. There's 8 episodes, and she goes to different people's homes, and she helps them tidy up. And it's all kinds of races, and there's a couple of gay couples, and there's a woman who's a widow who made me cry my eyes out.
That's the one I can't watch yet. I know it's going to make me sob.
It's hard. It's but it's good. Like she just helps people, and I like her because she's like tidying up is different than dealing with hoarders or just like doing a makeover. You know what I mean? Where you're just throwing out somebody all of their things and then just putting in brand new furniture. It's more just about keeping things that make you happy and making your home personable without making it a mess.
Yes.
And I can respect that. And I think, yeah.
Did you ever read the book?
I have it right next to me. I do have the book, and I have the pages flagged and notes in the corners because every once in a while I do what she says. And her big thing is that you don't go about room by room. You go by category. So like clothes, you take all the clothes you have everywhere and you put them in a big pile and you just do it all at once. And then her other big thing is folding. This woman loves to fold like nobody's business.
I am absolutely going to start folding my shirts and stuff the way she shows on the show.
Because it looks good.
Because it looks good and it looks like you could find everything you're looking for.
It makes a difference. I immediately, after I saw the show, I was in between, I went into my bedroom and I did my sock drawer and my underwear drawer.
There you go.
Just like, and it looks amazing. Yeah. It looks great. Yeah.
I have like a lot of clothes and there are like a few, like especially t-shirts, like I hold on to them, like they're sentimental. They're like concert t-shirts or, just stuff. And you don't want to get rid of them because there's a sentimental attachment.
Yeah.
So I think like that would really help me organize. But I always have like a huge pile of clothes that I'm donating. I'm like when I buy new stuff, I tend to take old things out and throw them aside. Like
that's good though.
I try anyway. I'm trying.
Yeah.
But it was very inspiring, and that's what we've been dorking out about too. We watched it. My husband's read the book. I have not read the book, but we've been watching the show too, and it's very inspiring to go. It makes me want to empty my closet.
Did you see the one? Maybe you haven't, but what she does is that when you're giving something away, so you go through your clothing pile, and you have, like, for this one woman, she had this sweatshirt that she always wore when she was nursing. And, like, her youngest is 26 now. So she's like, you probably don't need this anymore. She goes, you're right. She goes, so thank the shirt for being there when you need it. And she says, oh, thank you for being cozy and really easy to wear, blah, blah, blah. And then Marie picks up this blouse, and it's like this apricot colored, either blouse or sweater, I can't remember, but it's not very attractive.
Right.
And the woman's like, oh yeah, I bought that by mistake, and I could never wear anything with it. She goes, this reminds us you never do this again. And then she folds. I was like, wow.
I love it. I just love it. She's not an asshole about it. Like,
No.
I felt like she's very respectful of people's space and time and very understanding. And I like that she tries to relate to them. Like, my house isn't perfect either.
And that's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Her house is
there's
immaculate.
not a speck of dirt. Yeah.
No,
but I like the fact that she says to people, like, the whole category for her, it's like it's books, clothes, kimono, and then it's sentimental is one of those. And so it's just like photographs and things like that, or anything that personalizes your space. And she likes that. Like, she said, you should do that. You just shouldn't have everything be that.
Yeah.
Which I respect.
You know what the main takeaway for me was? Everything has a home.
Yeah.
That was the big one. I was like, oh shit, that's what I need to do. Like, I need to put like little compartments almost in everything, and everything has a home. So everything has a place.
Right.
And that's how you get rid of the clutter. And I was like, that's what I need. So that was my big takeaway.
On Twitter, there's a whole big thing, though, kerfuffle about the fact that one of her categories is books.
Oh, yeah.
And book people do not like her attitude because she's like, get rid of most of them.
Yeah. Well, I'm with her. Like,
Me too.
I pretty easily part with my books, to be honest. Like, I don't go back and reread a lot. I have some that I've definitely kept because they're like faves. But like, like I read Tina Fey's Bossy Pants. Am I going to read it again? Probably not.
Right.
I can get rid of it. I could pass it on to someone else and let's see if it sparks joy for them.
Yeah, that's her whole thing, is that you have to touch a thing and, like, does this spark joy?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then you got to get rid of it.
Yep. Well,
and I can respect that.
Yep. And that's what I'm going to do right after this. This podcast sparks joy for me, by the way.
Me too.
Especially when we're talking shit about St. Elmo's Fire. Fuck this movie. This movie's a piece of shit.
Oh, it's the worst. And they're just the worst people.
They are.
All of them are terrible.
I'm not going to miss them.
No.
Nope. So this was super fun as always. You can find Dorking Out at dorkingoutshow.com and on Twitter at dorkingoutshow. And you can find me at The Sonia Show on Twitter and soniashow.com, which I'm writing on way more often now because I made a New Year's resolution that I'm not going to post everything on Facebook anymore. I'm going to start creating my own stuff and put it on the blog. So please visit the blog. And where can people find you, Margo?
On all social media, I'm at Brooklyn Fit Chick, and Twitter and Instagram are the ones that I use the most. And my blog is called brooklynfitchick.com. It needs to be updated, but I do post most of the shows I work on there. And my other podcasts are the Not Fade Away podcast, the Fit Bottom Girls podcast, Best Neighbors podcast, and Book versus Movie.
Yay!
Those are my other shows. Yeah.
They're all awesome.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys next week. So I'll just say goodbye.